We are Be Well Health and Wellness Consultants, and we're inviting you into our toughest and most honest conversations with each other.
We believe in honest, educated, science-based health promotion and that everyone should have access to this kind of information.
Tune in to hear our hearts for you as we uncover the not-so-pretty side of the health and wellness industry on the Healthy is Hard podcast. Welcome back to the Healthy is Hard podcast. If you're listening in live, we are in a series called Spring Training right now. It is Bailey and Tony here. Tony has graciously given us a whole ton of information so far. So today we're going to continue on with our spring training series and help coach you through some of the biggest things that we have seen as nutrition and fitness professionals, respectively, when it comes to trying to, gain confidence and get to that physique goal that you have. So if you have not listened to last week's episode, please make sure you go back and check that out. It was seriously so jam-packed with information. Today's episode is going to be a little bit shorter because we're going to take a little slight right turn here off of the cutting phase and talk to you a little bit about what happens when you hit a plateau.
Definitely. So let's go ahead.
Hit a plateau.
Right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and tie in with what we talked about last week, right? We're talking about the cutting. We're getting ready for the summer. But now there's a lot of people that when they stop seeing results very quickly within like a month, they either lose their motivation and drop out of what they're doing, or they absolutely have no idea what to do next. And that's what I want to talk about is what happens next. I have a whole motivational episode on how to try to not veer off of the path that you already started, because I've been in that situation 1,000 times already. I cannot stress that enough. I can start a diet and then a week or two later, my workouts are unmotivated, my diet gets boring and I fall off of it. But there's always a way to get back to it. I've just done it so often that my motor is shrinking by the minute, because I'm now at a point where I don't need a phase. I have the longevity, but let's keep it entailed to the small cutting phase that we brought up initially last week. So
yeah, let's go ahead and highlight just as a little recap that cutting is specifically focusing on burning and losing fat in the body while also maintaining strength. So a little tiny bit different than that weight loss period, but you probably will see a bit of the same sort of benefits from that cut phase. Now, for the plateau, please educate us, my friend.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use 1 month as the example for what I'm about to speak of. So say you have started your cut and now you are a month in. You've lost a solid 10 to 12, maybe 15 pounds in that month. A lot of it could be water. A lot of it could be fat as well, because obviously, like I said before, it takes roughly almost 3 months to really see big changes. So the initial changes are more of just your body adjusting and getting rid of all those wastes that you've had in there. But when you stop seeing the results, then that means we need to step back and we need to reassess what you've been doing. If you have been doing the exact same exercises day in, day out, week in and week out, all right, you've been eating the same amount of foods, the calories have been decreasing slightly, but maybe it's not enough to start breaking through that wall that you've already hit. Now let's start with the workout side of things. Typically, I'm only going to prescribe somebody with a workout plan for 1 month as it is. Once that month is over, you come back to me and now it's time to ramp it up even more so you don't get stuck. That makes sense? We're going to start in small increments.
Right. That's how we do everything around here. We work in that 1 month sort of block because in terms of breakdown, that is the easiest way to ramp things up without having that big shock value of like, we've gotten to, let's say 3 months and you're in this plateau. Now it's going to take a lot more work and a really big change to overcome that plateau, as opposed to if we are working and adapting the plan each month as we're moving forward.
Definitely. And I'm going to use the squat as my prime example once again, because I love it so much. And it haunts me to this day still. But
As it probably
so
should.
yeah, for example, if I have a squat programmed into your exercise routine, correct? And your rep range is 8 to 12 reps. It could be 5x5, whatever way I'm programming for you, right? That next month, when I recreate your new plan, I will most likely take the amount of loaded squats that you do, and now we're going to progress it into single leg movements. Does that make sense? Your body has now gotten used to using both legs at the same time. Now let's go ahead and take one away and put the load just on one to make it work even harder.
And I think the big thing there is you don't have to increase your weight. You don't have to increase your reps by a whole ton, which therefore increases the length of time that you're working out for. You just change the movement to excite your body almost and put it in that state of, oh, hey, that's new. Now I have to try and catch up and adapt to this. That is really cool and a big misconception. I feel people think, once I hit that plateau, I've got to go super heavy in weight. I've got to hit the treadmill way harder. I've got to, change all these massive things. When in reality, it's really just tweaking one tiny part of it.
Definitely. And then once you get that small detail, say from, like I said, going from 2 legs to a single leg squat, right? Or a single leg RDL, or walking lunges, reverse lunges, side lunges, any of those variables, after I program that second month with those new movements, typically I'm going to run out of new movements to give you. So what does that mean? I then have to change up the tempo that you're doing these exercises in. All right. That's another progression that you can add to your exercise program to help your body overcome that adaptation that it's already gotten to. Right. So now we started with the squat in month 1 that you've been doing once a week for the 4 weeks given. All right. And now the next month, you're now doing single leg squats, whether it's with a dumbbell, foot elevated, pistol squats, whatever your body is capable of doing from what I've assessed you originally, to now that 3rd month, I'm going to bring back that squat, but now we're going to count how long it's going to take you to get down to parallel or to below 90 degrees. And then we're going to also talk about the contraction part, where it could be as fast as soon as you get to the bottom, you go straight up, or you're holding it down in the box position, or you're slowly bringing it back up. There's so many little details like we can keep on repeating, but now we need to just keep challenge your body to what it's not used to.
That's such a good tip that I think so many people that are listening today are going to be able to use, because like you said earlier, there are so many people out there. Maybe you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, I am in that plateau phase. I have been there and I have no idea what to do next. These are some things that you can try next. If you've been in that plateau and you are just so frustrated that you don't even want to try anymore, reach out to Tony. He will help you incorporate those little steps, no matter where you're at in your fitness journey. If you're just starting out, if you've hit that plateau, maybe you want to completely 180 what your goals are and you need a little bit of help with that. That's where he comes into play and can be a real resource. But that tip right there, I feel like is worth $1,000.
And I want to point out, I feel bad for the people that are in this position from the way that I'm about to kind of throw them under the bus. But when you're just starting out on a new phase of whatever you're doing with your exercise, or you could just be a beginner in general, you don't need anything but the exercise and the equipment needed to complete that exercise. Please, if I prescribe you with a squat, please do not go get knee wraps. Please do not go get a belt. And please do not go get a band to put around your legs, because that's where your plateau comes at you even faster. You're adding all of these extra things to the movement that you don't need to add until you have to in order to overcome the adaptation. I see all these, and I'm gonna point out the females, because the leg bands are the most popular, are used mostly by females. They grab them, they're doing squats with the bands already spread. They're doing hip thrusts while adding like butterflies for their side glute. You don't need that until your body needs change. All right. I can't stress that enough.
Ladies listening, I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I am totally guilty of that. I think speaking for everyone listening today, it's probably a good idea that we all start to respect the process a little bit more, give our bodies that ability and that time and that space to change and adapt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And
Calm
I'll
down.
give more, even give you a few more like squat examples and how you can progress the movement in ways that you might not even thought of until just now. So you have the barbell squat, you have the goblet squat, you have the front squat, you have the hack squat, all right? You have safety bar squat, all right? Once you run out of bars, what's next? All right. Once you run out of place, and what's next? You have the weights, all right? There's only a certain amount of weights that your body can handle until your joints blow out to the amount that you're pushing yourself, right? All right.
Right.
Now talk about the resistance of other pieces of equipment that you can add to it. Maybe you have some resistance bands to attach to the sides of the bars that most squat racks have, that you can attach bands to the bottom. Therefore, what bands are creating the tension. So it's creating less stress on your body, on your eccentric motion on the way to the ground. Then when you're on your concentric motion, pushing away from the ground, it is now adding so much more tension to that weight. Your body has to find a way to control it, right? It's going to add maybe some shift in your stability. It's going to a lot of tension. So you're going to have to brace your core a lot more, right? And you don't want to break the technique because the rubber bands now are placing your body in a specific angle. All right. Now let's take it one step further. I have two more ways. The next could be detach the rubber bands from the bottom of the squat rack, right? And let's attach a kettlebell to each side of the bar on with the band connected to it. Can you visualize what I'm thinking? Now the bar is literally going like this on your back. You have literally dumbbells bouncing. You have kettlebells bouncing on a rubber band on each side of the bar. Therefore, now your core is working 3 times as hard to keep your body stable. And now you're controlling your movement towards the ground with every single muscle in your leg, because now you're trying to grip the ground with your feet that you haven't even paid attention to in the first place, where every movement should start, right? Now you're controlling that squat so hard because you don't want to become unbalanced and fall over. Now that is a more advanced movement. And then the opposite of the bands could be chains. All right. So now, once you go to the bottom, there's literally no tension whatsoever. And now when you're at the top, it's going to be the most heaviest because all that chain is now dangling at the ground. When you get down, now the chain's resting on the floor. Make sense? Yeah. There's yeah.
And I think it makes so much more sense. I just had a massive light bulb moment. If you are listening and you don't know what it looks like to do half of those movements that he just explained, first things first, go ahead and send us a message. Please reach out to Tony because he can help you. He can teach you what all those things look like and how to do them safely. But my light bulb moment came when I heard him say, you start off with the different types of squats. You have the goblet squat, you have the weighted dumbbell squat, you have all these different ways. And the thing is that I know personally, and I think it's safe to assume that a lot of other people as well, don't really realize how different those movements are. Sometimes I have, a goblet squat incorporated into my workout. I have a narrow leg squat. I have a weighted sumo squat. And I'm like, what's the difference? A squat is a squat is a squat, right? And apparently I am wrong. And so we need to accept, when we are wrong or we have a misconception about something, and be able to say, hey, okay, like I need help with this. And that's why I reached out to Tony recently. And now I have a fitness plan from him because I was in that plateau phase. I did not know what to do. And he has showed me all of these new different types of movements. And to be entirely honest, I've had to walk it back a little bit from some of those more advanced movements because I skipped some steps. And it's, again, so important to respect that process and allow my body the time and the space and the movement that it needs in order to change at a pace that's safe for me before I start to injure myself.
Definitely.
So that was very eye-opening just now. And it makes me think about the metabolism and how it works in the exact same way as that plateau with your exercises. Like you said earlier, you started with a calorie deficit. That's great. You hit a plateau, so then you decrease your calories even more. The thing with that is eventually you'll get to a point where you're not eating enough to fuel your body for the movement that it needs or for the protein, the muscle that it's building. So it's kind of like, again, a double-edged sword. You have to go through the process. You just can't skip steps here, people. And you literally cannot just keep cutting your calories or you will die. Okay, you'll eventually get to no calories and you cannot do that. So how do we make sure that when we're pairing our advancing workouts with our nourishment, how do we beat that plateau and keep our metabolism moving? The answer is that we continually change what we're doing. I know some people can do this, but I am not one of those people. I can't eat the same thing every day. It's boring. It's not so tasty. I just don't like it. I like to have new and different things every day. We always have leftovers, but that is okay with me. So that is truly how we want to be eating in order to keep our metabolism highly functioning. The word metabolism actually means the balance of energy within our body. So we have two different processes called catabolism and anabolism. Both sides of the spectrum there, you can imagine. One of them is using energy. The catabolism it consumes our nutrients and releases the energy. Anabolism does the opposite. It takes in energy. We want our metabolism to be on the slight side of catabolism because then it's consuming the nutrients, burning off what we're giving it, and giving us energy to complete our daily tasks. Yes.
Question based on anabolic and catabolic or catabolic.
Yes.
What time of day do both of those come in play? Typically.
So technically, they should be functioning all the time, right? If metabolism is the ultimate goal and our energy should be balanced all the time, it should be happening all the time. However, my next words out of my mouth were going to be metabolism is a really high level goal that most of us won't reach in our lifetime because we do not, nor should we really, move the same exact way every single day, eat the same way, the exact same way every single day. So typically your catabolism rate is going to be higher in the evening, overnight, when you kind of have all of those nutrients eaten up and burned, right? Does that make sense? So you have all this food throughout the day and your catabolism is ramping up. That's why we say eating consistently throughout the day increases your metabolic rate because it increases how often your body is catabolizing. Not even really sure if that's a word. That is how your body catabolizes. It eats the nutrients, gives us energy. Okay, so that happens throughout the day. Towards the end of the day and overnight, when that digestive process finishes, that is when that rate is going to be highest. That's when we also start to see cell turnover, toxin wash out from the kidneys and the liver and the brain. All the good things happen overnight because of that catabolic process. Now, in the morning, when you don't eat, or throughout the day, if you fast for a long period of time, anabolism is going to kick in. It's going to start to hold on to that energy. You are going to feel more fatigued because your body, again, is starting to kind of go into that starvation phase. It doesn't know when it's going to get more energy. It's going to grab it and it's going to hold on and not let you use it. Does that help clarify a little bit?
Yeah, no. I asked those questions because I was completely on the edge of where they placed. And now you confirm that like being in a catabolic state is more in the evening and upon waking up, and then anabolic is once you start nourishing again, correct?
Correct. Yes. So that's another reason why, like in a perfect world, if we were going to reach energy balance, which is metabolism, we would be awake all the time, we'd be eating all the time, and we just have enough nourishment to give us enough energy to be awake all the time. But we know that that's not how the human body works, and that is not healthy, nor is it safe. So this is the process that we're always aiming for, but we're going to come just short of. So again, in order to increase that catabolic rate, to burn more nutrients, which burns calories, which burns fat, which burns weight, the whole nine, it's what we all want, right? You have to eat, first of all, you have to eat enough. You need to be eating those nutrient-dense foods, the balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And you need to be eating often enough so that that process doesn't shut off. If in the middle of the day you have not eaten and you're, maybe let's say you ate breakfast really early when you woke up at 5 a.m. and then you don't eat again until 5 p.m. You go into a catabolic state and then your body's going to go anabolic. And then again at 5 p.m., it's going to go catabolic. So you saw it's a roller coaster there. Instead of catabolism gaining speed all day and then anabolism taking place and then gaining speed again. Okay, so it's going to be a longer process. This is honestly where we kind of start to see a little bit of blood sugar regulation issue come into play when we have that constant roller coaster. No one likes the roller coaster of emotions, so let's also not give our metabolism and our digestive tract a roller coaster, okay? So those are some really great starting tips. If you have done the calorie cut, take a look and see, are you eating enough to fuel your body? I use an equation with my clients to see if they're eating enough. Some other tools that a lot of people come to me and ask about are, MyFitnessPal, online calculators. There is some error there for sure, because a lot of them do not factor in activity level, your NEAT activity, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So there's lots of different factors that you're going to want to make sure play into that. However, when you hit a plateau, chances are that you're just not eating enough, or your macronutrient range is not spot on. So your body's started to adapt and you need to change that up. So maybe you need to start eating more carbohydrates. Maybe you need to cut back a little bit in that category and increase your protein. It's all dependent on where your body's at. And if you want to know more about how the metabolism works and how you can kind of quote unquote hack this process and improve it no matter what stage you're at, if you are just beginning or if you're in that plateau stage, join us on Monday, April 19th. You can still sign up as this is released. We are going to be doing a quick little 3-day crash course focused on metabolism. So taking these tips that we're talking about and really compounding them in all different manners for this spring season so that you can get the absolute most out of it. If you're interested, link is in the show notes, or feel free to send us a message and we will get you some more information on that, because metabolism is truly, I think, one of the biggest factors of that plateau, probably about 50-50. The movement is so important, because you guys heard me. I hit a plateau and I have the eating locked down. So I needed Tony's help on that fitness side for the movements that my body needs in order to continue progress. Sorry.
I would say with the 50-50, I would say 50 metabolism and 50 with your adaptation and where your body is currently at physically. Honestly, those two working together is what's going to get you to your end result. And I kind of wanted to quickly, when you were talking about, always trying to switch your food up, not eat the same thing. I'm going to use bodybuilding as the perfect example, because when it comes to cutting, what's the first example people look at? Bodybuilders, right? Because bodybuilders are always in either a cutting or a bulking phase. They're never, literally, bodybuilders that do this for a living are either cutting or they're bulking. It's simple as that. They're never just, chilling.
By the way, is not enjoying life.
But exactly what I was going to talk about, because I've done it myself from a bodybuilder. Like, I've gotten tried a meal plan from a old bodybuilder. Now they're a coach, whatever. Tried it, and it literally sucks. These bodybuilders that are in a cutting phase, actually, I'm not even going to talk about. I'm gonna say this: if you don't plan on cutting your body fat for a price, why are you making yourself miserable for that time period? Does that make sense? Because these bodybuilders, they still love cheeseburgers, they still love all the greasy foods, but yet they're literally eating plain chicken, rice, and spinach leaves, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, protein shake, and they're doing the same thing for literally 3 months straight, and they hate it. And then that last month, when they're depleted completely, then that's the most unhealthiest state their body could be in. It literally, bodybuilding, the last month of prep is probably the most unhealthy stage a person could be in, because their body is now drained completely. Mentally too.
And
they're completely drained.
Mentally, physically, really emotionally, because you are restricting yourself from all of the things that you love. But at that point, that's when you've started to slow your metabolism, because it's adapting. You've started to slow, your rate of muscle build and strength and all the things, because you're doing the same movements to hit the same body parts to, bulk up and whatever. And so at that point, both of the processes that we talked about today are at kind of their lowest level. And then after that competition, it's just going to be that much harder to get back to any kind of baseline. So hopefully that was some helpful information for you guys today. If you want some more information, again, if you have questions about this next week, if you have questions now, probably not going to answer your question. Maybe a little bit more confused. So if you are just wanting some more clarification on anything, please reach out. We are happy and are ready to answer all your questions so you can move through this series and get the most out of it. Thanks for hanging with us today, guys. It was a lot of fun. Stick around for the rest of this series. We have a few weeks left with way more awesome, great information, and we cannot wait to share it with you. We'll see you next week. Stay well.
Hey.
It was our greatest honor to take up space in your world today. Please share this episode to your social media pages and tag us at BeWellHWC. Cheers to you, friend, for choosing better for yourself starting today. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. Subscribe to the show and learn how to make healthy less hard, one tip at a time.